things for you. Just 8 pitchers throwing the night. What kind of stood out to you, and more specifically with Camden Sewell, it kind of seems like he's getting better and better each time he's out there.
Yeah, and I think he was one of those guys that was early on in the season. I think just trying to do a little too much, and he's slowly evolved into being who he is. I mean, if you look at his career numbers, he's been outstanding for us since he's been on this campus, and he's kind of become the Swiss Army knife guy for us a little bit with different roles. But more importantly, he's been kind of a game changer. I mean, we go to Missouri, and it's a back and forth deal, and he comes in and kind of flipped the script a little bit. And then today I felt like he kind of just, for whatever reason, just changed the vibe of the game and swung it in our favor. So obviously a tremendous positive there. And then with the other guys relating to your question, Hollis Fanning, that's not easy to do. His presence and Xander Sechrist, both presence in the situations they came in, but also just the energy they put off and the way they threw the ball was very impressive to me. So,
And then
go ahead.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to ask about Beck. I know that last homer was one that he pulled to left field, but it seems like 3 or 4 before that were all opposite field homers. Just what does that say about his swing and where he's at?
Yeah, he's locked into being, again, who he was early in the season. He did so much damage in scrimmages and kind of separated himself from a lot of our hitters with how talented he is, but also how well he was doing. And a lot of the early season stuff, he was kind of popping up off the ball. You can't see my whole body, which is a good thing for me, but he was kind of popping up off the thing, and now he's kind of staying through it. And so with 2 strikes, you see him battling off good pitches. You see him putting the ball in play. It wasn't a very attractive hit that he got to, score a run on, but that slow roller was a benefit of staying in the ball and staying through it longer. And then I think that's what's producing some of those opposite field balls that are either over the fence or driven well. And then he got a pitch that, since he's been on this campus and he's done a few times earlier this year, even when he wasn't hitting his best, he can hit it to the moon to left field.
Yeah, Tony, I'm wondering, I know you've said a couple times that Racker still just kind of hasn't let the ball go since coming back and hasn't really opened up. Was tonight a better step in that direction, or did he just get some results?
Yeah, no, I think it was. I mean, the changeup to the third hitter was tremendous. And then, not to put too much stock on velocity, but he's really a 93, 94 mile an hour arm. Maybe if he's out there for longer, it sinks a little lower. Maybe if he wants to reach back, he could maybe even touch a bit more. But that's where he needs to be. Otherwise, the ball's not coming out with the conviction it needs to. And, they actually, barreled the 1 ball to right field. Those are really good hitters at the top of the lineup. So he got a good challenge, and he did what he needed to do.
And as for this weekend, I know that, it's to a point now where y'all are kind of playing for the SEC East. I guess it's the final weekend of the season, 1 game at a time, but maybe you can speak on that now, just kind of what's in front of this program and how big it would be to come out of there with a good weekend in Columbia.
Yeah, I think it's corny, but I think they kind of love each other, and to have a win like this, where a lot of guys are involved. I mean, they're going crazy for Cortland. He almost kind of, had a web gem there. I thought it was a great effort, and cheering for everybody else. And I think everyone's in a good mood because we won the game, but also we were able to respond from a tough, loss, a bitter loss on Sunday to a great team. And, that's kind of their emotion now. And then on Sunday, they were frustrated. They wanted to win. And then, Monday they were kind of relaxed because there wasn't so much you could do. So they've got a little recipe there that's kind of the 1 day at a time thing. You can put that up on the wall, but to actually live it is pretty tough. And I'm being sincere. I think that's kind of what they got going on. And maybe they'll start thinking about South Carolina tonight or this weekend, sooner than I will. But, when we get into town, we'll prepare. And I think if I could speak for the whole coaching staff and for our whole team, the deal is going to be about playing our best game 1. Because the separator, who knows what it was against Arkansas or a couple other weeks. We didn't perform our best on Friday. And, you like to just kind of focus on that first game, I guess.
Brian? Now it's a few days removed. Just what were your thoughts on the environment at Lindsey Nelson Stadium last weekend? And is there any takeaways on what that environment can be like long term?
Sure. Well, I'll start with tonight. I mean, sorry to doubt anybody, which I didn't, but I was just kind of surprised at the crowd. I mean, same thing as our team. Like, this could have been let down Tuesday. We just had the number one show in the country in our facility, or number one team at the very least. And so maybe our guys didn't have as much incentive to play hard or to be prepared. And I thought they were. And the fans kind of matched that. I mean, I think we're 1,000 people off of what that is, but you know what? It's a work day and things like that. So that to me stuck out as much as anything. The weekend was incredible. I mean, I think they improved our lives, Arkansas's lives, anyone who was watching TV's lives. Probably got our guys to perform a little bit better, to have a little bit of edge or home field advantage. And then what it did too for our conversations that are ongoing between Danny's staff and myself is, okay, that's what that looked like. Where can we add on, or what could it look like in the future? So it just gives you a more clear vision, rather than 4 years ago when we got the job, we kind of had a, rough draft that we just kind of pulled out of thin air on what we were thinking could happen around here.
Go back to Ben and back to Wes.
Yeah, Tony, I asked you about Camden and how he seems to just continue to improve each opportunity that he gets. It also seems like Jarrell Ortega is making the most of his opportunities lately. Just what have you seen from him, and maybe allowed him to get to the point to where he hits a homer last week, and then tonight he almost hit one out as well?
Sure, and he took several good swings on foul balls. I mean, I don't even know if that kid's seen the Terminator. These guys are pretty young these days, but he's back is what I think. That's kind of an extreme statement, but the guy, he was lethal in the fall. And I've seen him in high school as, Coach Elander recruited him and thought we had a really good one. And I think people in Florida did too. So he's capable of a lot. And, I'm not so sure he wouldn't be out there every day for us if it wasn't for COVID. So however this winding road has brought him to getting a spot start tonight, I really feel like he's kind of back to being himself in BP and in games. And he's a really, really good hitter. And so I'm looking forward to finding ways to slide him in there more. And I think he can help us down this stretch.
And then this weekend, the second time, you'll go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Did you learn anything about Thursday, Friday, Saturday from a pitching standpoint the first time you all did it?
I think it was good. We didn't, do anything too crazy with our guys. They were able to stay in their routine. It was just different. I think the A&M trip probably took a lot out of Chad. So for him to throw as well as he did on short rest, especially with the rain out, if you remember, it was actually one less day than he'll have this week, is that he can handle that workload. So to me, it's more about those guys have now gotten into a routine, and I don't think one day is that drastic for any of them. None of them were taxed to an extreme. You could argue, take Blade out, he's almost to 100, or you could argue, dude, this guy's pretty good, leave him in for 120. But, having said that, none of those guys were really taxed too much last weekend, and I think they'll be ready to go.
Yeah, Tony, I know that, the way Beck's hitting the ball lately, people are starting to talk about a lot of that stuff. But with guys like Liam and with Jake, what they're able to do sort of consistently every single day, it's almost like they're already professionals, playing the game at a college level. How difficult is it to be sort of that consistent and just be on base as often as they are throughout an entire season?
Yeah, it's a challenge, and what it requires is kind of reflects on what I was talking about, earlier about, hey, Sunday was a big game, but so is this one. So you have to show up every day, and on Monday you got to do something, whether it's rest or train on your own or whatever. The guy's lifted to make sure you're prepared. So it's a grind. It truly is. What I know more than anything is I've been in the other dugout facing those guys, either as a pitching coach or just an assistant or even in this role here. And it's a pain in the butt. You consistently kind of know where those guys are at, and they tend to wear you thin a little bit. They affect the game even when they don't do something dynamic at the plate. And you bring up the right two guys, but I think if you take that out and just go off my answer right there, I think you could apply that to our whole lineup, which makes it, you feel very grateful to come to work and see some of these names that you can write down.
And I guess generally, what are your thoughts on South Carolina? I know it was all about Belmont tonight, but I mean, obviously Clark's a great hitter. I mean, what have you seen overall from South Carolina?
Yeah, he's a name that's thrown out there a lot for good reason, but he's surrounded by other guys that are like that too. I mean, the park can play lively. There's a tremendous tradition there with their program, and they get a strong fan base, and they're always into the game, cheering on their team or trying to get under your skin. So that's a factor as well. And then those guys have, put that team this year in the conversation of, well, who might be in Omaha? Well, they're certainly a contender as much as anyone in our league. And, they seem to put together a great weekend last weekend on the road at Kentucky. So I think it'll be the same as every other weekend. It's going to be a pain in the butt for everybody. And by Sunday, you're going to be exhausted, or I'm sorry, it'll be Saturday this week. But it'll be fun to, get back on the road. And I think our guys like doing that for whatever reason. And, by this time they're already close, but when you're on the road, it brings you a little closer together, and we'll see what we can do in game one and then kind of go from there.
Two more, Trey, and then we'll finish with Brian.
Hey, Tony, two questions. What's the main thing that you're looking for out of this group heading to Columbia, on Thursday, whether that be pitching or hitting, is it consistency? And then also the second part of that, you guys wrapping up on Saturday, any kind of benefit to that, before y'all have to head to Hoover next week? I don't want you to look ahead, but.
Yeah, no, but it's fair because I've done it. I've been a part of teams that have done it differently, because the Big 12 would do that too. We've kind of got a unique thing going on where we're going east. On you if you've got to travel in a tournament. So these guys can come home, unpack, sleep in their own bed. We'll see where we're at, as far as what's next after that. But we'll be able to, I was trying to let the internet catch up there. We'll be able to come back and catch our breath and get some things done here, and then go to a place that's not that far. I mean, there's other schools in our, Texas A&M's a long way from Birmingham, and so is University of Missouri. So the layout is good for us. I just hope we're in a good mood on Saturday. So we'll do like you said. We'll focus on Thursday's game, and then I think afterwards, I think there's a fairly good layout for us, and it should help.
I think anytime you've been asked about standings or championship hunts, it's kind of been, we're focused on the task at hand. Now that it is just one weekend and you guys are half a game ahead in the SEC East, is that something you acknowledge with the team, or is it just something you kind of ignore and business as usual?
It was chaos out there in right field when we met post game, so I didn't have much control of the team for whatever reason. So again, I think these guys enjoy each other's camaraderie, and there was some excitement there. So it's just kind of like I said, it goes back to the answer that isn't a controversial one, and it's not a real great one, but I do think it's kind of just the next day thing. And with South Carolina, it hasn't been that long. You show up to the stadium and you want to win a national championship, because there was a time not too long ago they won back-to-back. Arkansas, Bonfield can tell you they were just in the national championship game, 1 out away from winning the thing. So what they want to do is get back, and they want to finish that last out. These narratives are different for each program. And I think ours is held true to what you're saying, just because it's who we are and where we're at with everything right now. And hopefully I'm not just blowing smoke, but that's the vibe I get from the guys. And if it's truly the case, then it can help us into Thursday, because that game one is always important, in every series. Goes without saying. And then, of course, game two is just as important. But that's where we're trying to narrow our focus. And then maybe on that bus ride home on Saturday or an off day Sunday, we can all take a deep breath and say, this is exactly what's going on and exactly what's going to happen.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you all. Take it easy.